So, three. Okay, guys, Chris and Amy here, and we're going to talk about, once again, we're going to talk about Tiger King. Okay, guys, I know. Everybody's going back and forth about the whole documentary about Joe. Is it Joe Exotic? And
Joe Exotic.
So when me and Amy last spoke, we mentioned Tiger King, and she said something that I found quite interesting. I was very intrigued. She said, "You would be very surprised, Chris, on what I think about the whole Carole Baskin situations." So without further ado, I'm gonna start off with the little jingle. So this is a new show that we're just gonna make up on the spot. It's only this one episode. This is it, one and done. This is it. But here's the jingle, and you might know it from all the way from TikTok that Carole Baskins killed her husband. What? That's all that everybody keeps singing on TikTok. But just pretend like that's the opening jingle. So you told me that I would be surprised on your thoughts on this. So let's start the debate. What is it that you think about Carole Baskins?
Okay, I feel like this is a hot take right now. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They could prove me wrong someday.
Okay.
I don't think Carole Baskins killed her husband.
What? I knew you.
I know. I feel like that's disappointing. I feel like I understand. I was watching the documentary. I was with it.
Were you?
I was. Well, because of course that's a great twist that this crazy tiger lady killed her husband and fed him to the tigers and got all the money. And everyone in that show's such a villain that you want her to be on their level. I don't think Carole Baskins should be put up there with like Joe Exotic and Doc Antle, who are just awful people. Just terrible people. Right. I don't know if Carole Baskins is a saint. I think there was a very specific narrative that they edited it to feed into. Mm-hmm. And I personally think, and I read some very compelling theories on Reddit, that look, Carole Baskins' husband, but like he's this like super wealthy guy. They never really delve into where that money came from. He's flying his plane like unchartered to Costa Rica. I think there was drug peddling involved, like some drug trafficking from Costa Rica. I think something went wrong.
Okay,
I think he got killed in Costa Rica.
Not that he wasn't murdered, but just that Carole Baskins just wasn't the murderer or involved in said murder.
I think that's the most interesting theory that she was. But I think there's a really real chance that he was caught up in some shady stuff that either they didn't know about, couldn't prove, or didn't want to talk about because it changed this super interesting she fed him to the tigers narrative that obviously worked because everyone went wild for that theory.
Right. It in a lot of ways it worked for Joe's in his advantage during his peak, because as much as she tried to, I guess, would get PETA and everybody to put their eyes on him, and he's abusive and he's doing, he's running the zoo and he's, doing all these bad things to these animals. He turned the screws back on her so much, and it was just, I think 90% of it is the fact that he's so entertaining. It just makes people listen to all of his.
But he's an awful person. I feel like we do, like, some people are losing sight of the fact of, like, this is not a good dude. This is not a reliable resource. Like,
could you imagine?
So that is my Carole Baskin hot take. I'm not saying I love the woman. I'm saying she was they raised issues about her that I don't know are entirely valid. And if they are, I still don't think she's in a case with someone like Joe or like Doc, who's like essentially, taking these underage girls and getting them ready to be in his sex hall. There's some very unpleasant stuff going on there.
You're the second person to say. I remember. I don't think you were the one who posted this on Facebook, but somebody said something 100% similar to what you're saying. It's like, it's funny how you have Joe Exotic, taking all these guys. It's like their age was of a question with, and taking them as husbands and lovers and doing all these bad things with these animals. And then there's other guys taking all these women, and pretty much it was like a sex cult going on. And you saw that in the documentary. Everybody saw all that, but you're choosing to ignore that and go straight to the whole Carole Baskins thing of whether or not she killed her husband or not. Like the cops
almost like people hate women sometimes.
It was very convenient that all like it's you're right. It's like that R. Kelly thing. For years in the 90s, you had comedians and people who straight up knew what he was accused of and stuff. Even way back then, even Bill Cosby, there were people in the business that were like hearing about this, but he's so powerful and this and that and the other that you don't want to say anything. So yeah, you're right. A lot of people watched that documentary. They saw those tigers. They saw the animals being malnourished, and some of these tigers are disappearing, probably being killed illegally, and things like that. What's going on with these boys, and what's going on with these women, and these this cult like mentality of organization. And instead, we go, yes, we see that. Yes, we see that. Yes, we see that. But Carole Baskins, and it's you're right. I'll give you that. We do this.
I think it's twofold. I think one, the misogyny angle. I think it would be insane to not see how that played some part in it. Yeah. Like, also, Doc Antle being a sexual abuser does not make a funny meme. I also see how there is a point where it's just like, these other crimes, not funny to joke about at all. Not that murder's funny, but something about Carole Baskin killed her husband works as like a TikTok song. These other things.
It's a jingle. It's a jingle. It's easy to jingle to. But
yep. You can do a little.
Yeah, you can do that. Whatever, and then whatever that is, and all that stuff that kids are doing nowadays that I definitely practice in my bathroom.
We're with it. But yeah, also I do think the documentary, like I said, the filmmakers tried to make everyone look like an equal villain, which I don't think is fair, because I think you have people who should have gone way more under scrutiny, and people who might have their flaws and might be odd. And yes, it's a sketchy situation, and I don't know, I'm not law enforcement, but I think putting that as such a like, of course she did it, is not entirely fair. And not fair to a real person who's like under a lot of fire now for that, where it's like,
well, maybe maybe it's a little bit because I think Joy talked about this too, but when we debated about it, I think part of it is the fact that like Joe Exotic is already in prison. So
true.
I mean, so how much misogyny really is there? I mean, it's not like the guy got away with it. He's in jail. And the person.
Yeah, I'm not saying misogyny in the actual like how things played out. I'm saying in the public reaction to it. I think
you're 100% right. Oh yeah.
Leaning into it. And yes, it is funny that his response to everything is that bitch Carole Baskin. And if people were making that, people aren't good with nuance on the internet. No. Joe blaming everything on Carole Baskin is funny. But then that very quickly transforms into everybody actually saying, oh, Carole Baskin's a bitch. I hate Carole Baskin. Yeah. It's like, no, Joe hating Carole Baskin was the meme. Exactly. You hating Carole Baskin is uncalled for.
You're right. I mean, to the point where you even got people like Cardi B trying to, because Joe Exotic was put in prison for a reason, and now because I know he's suing Netflix because of how he was portrayed, but he in a way should be thanking Netflix because now you have celebrities now trying to start a movement to free him and things like that.
He should be in jail. Yeah. He committed crimes.
He committed the crimes. And maybe it was easy for the people around him to, point the finger at him, but he himself.
Other people should be in jail, but
he put himself out there and made it easy for himself to be, because he was also guilty of it. He on camera admitted to the things that he's been accused of.
I'm not saying he's the only person in that circle who should be in jail, but he is one of them. Free Joe Exotic. It's like, there are non-violent drug offenders in prison. Can we put energy into like people who deserve it?
Well, they have to come up with a cool jingle for TikTok. I guess maybe that's
there it is.
You're right.
If you want a cause, make it a meme.
But exactly. If you want justice, make it a meme. It was so easy to fall into the Carole Baskin's trap, because when she said things like, I couldn't have fed my husband to those tigers. You would have to dip a person in, cover them in what
Sardine oil.
sardine oil. It's
Yeah.
like you're making it easy to not believe you, Carole. Why? Why would you? Maybe she just said it because it's just a fact. I'm like what she said could have been the equivalent of, if you jump from a skyscraper, you will die. It just might have been that is a fact. But when people are accusing you of feeding your husband the tigers, don't give people a possible, or what's the word, not motive or alibi. No, don't give people a means to how you actually might have accomplished that. I'm sorry. I'm like, maybe maybe you're right. Maybe it's because she's innocent that she felt comfortable enough to be like, only a crazy person would do something like that. But
yeah, because if I killed someone, I wouldn't be like, oh, to kill him, you'd have to do it this exact way that I did it. Again, that's a fun concept, but I feel like it's all very like crime movie, not how people's brains actually work.
Yeah, you made it.
And again, maybe I'm wrong, but
I mean, Joe, it's very possible that Joe himself was 100% wrong. And because of the fact, because look at the evidence. Joe was the kind of guy who obviously blames everybody for his actions and the mistakes that he made. So Carole was an easy punching bag. And maybe that was one of the things that pissed Carole off, because it was the fact that she knows she's innocent, but this guy who is obviously a bad dude is able to twist her life up and such a way. I know I'm not perfect. I know I currently take photos with my current husband wearing a collar and I'm holding that leash, but that's our business that we made public. But that doesn't mean that I'm a murderer.
Whatever fruits their loops, that's none of my business.
Yeah, but the pickle. I mean, I'm like, whatever gets that going, right? That's fine. But it was like, Carole, you're making it so easy for these attacks to come in. So obviously she's not a politician.
Also, Netflix probably got a lot of footage. Whoever made that documentary got a ton of footage and edited the worst, like 30 seconds. And that's all we saw of that interview.
But Carole isn't one of the ones that's suing. And people are saying that, who was the other guy? It was Joe Exotic, Carole Baskin, and who was the other guy that was up?
Doc Antle.
They're saying that it's getting close to he might get indicted sooner than later. But I think he's going to eventually probably go to jail too. That zoo that he's trying to build.
Jeff Lowe, I think, is the other person.
The guy who took the zoo from Joe, right?
Yeah, that's Jeff Lowe.
Yeah, because when the documentary ended, he said that they were making another zoo at the border of Texas and with Arkansas and everything. And you gotta imagine that the coronavirus situation put a halt to all that. So I mean, so if he's struggling with money and everything, and people are saying that he might not be far away from getting picked up or indicted or something, or what, I don't know. Maybe the deal he made is going to have him get off 100%. But you're right. I don't believe any of these guys are 100% innocent. It's just that whole disappearance thing.
Oh, be in jail because they abused animals.
Right.
Animals.
Yeah, maybe you're right. You know what? I'll admit it. Okay. I'll admit it. I didn't. Maybe because the jingle was so catchy, I didn't do my due diligence and look into the fact that maybe her husband was probably into other things that probably could have led to his, capture and demise. So maybe I turned a blind eye to that because I was still dancing.
You're not a cop. Just don't send like hate mail to Carole Baskin, and I don't really care what you think.
Right, exactly. She could be the nicest person in the world, but just be very odd, and just a victim of circumstances. Maybe but that whole fight. But what she's not innocent of is the back and forth and the way these people, all three of the way they laser focused on each other like nemesis. You could feel it. They were nemesis. They were out for blood. So maybe you're right. Okay, you know what? I'll admit it. I came into this conversation like it's obvious Carole Baskin did it, but I'm a logical guy. I'll admit I only came into that based on what Netflix and what all of us who were just going along with the songs were basing it on those things. I didn't look deeper into in that possibility. Maybe her husband was crooked and into some other bad things.
Or he disappeared in Costa Rica, like started a new life and got away with that. Or he, you know,
I mean,
there's a million different.
Oh yeah, you're right. Maybe he had the money that he left behind with Carole could have been the tip of the iceberg of what he really has.
Or she killed him. I don't really know. I'm not a detective. I'm just saying things I read on the internet.
Or she dipped him into that fish oil and nudged him.
That makes the best story.
It's the sexier story. It's what people want to believe, I guess, because I think you're probably right. People are probably more thirsty for a juicy ending to this whole thing than the truth. I'd rather believe. I'd rather, because if that husband were to just pop up one day and was like, "Oh no, I knew it was worth giving her the $40 million and just disappearing because she's like." I didn't want to be choked in that collar anymore. She was into some weird stuff, so I had to go. But if he popped up one day, only that would top her feeding him the tigers. If he was to appear somewhere, that would be the better story. But you're probably right.
I think that would be start turning 2020 around.
Yeah.
You get a vaccine, return of Carole Baskin's husband.
What would her current husband do? Would that make, well, he's probably been declared dead, so that means her second marriage would still be legal because he's been declared dead. But wouldn't that be a better twist to Carole Baskin's killing? It would probably make Joe Exotic go crazy, like, damn it, that was the cornerstone of my whole thing.
I'm starting the conspiracy theory. It's gonna be like Tupac or Elvis, like, oh, I saw him.
That's what should happen. Yeah, you know what? You want to get rich making a bunch of cool T-shirts and selling them on the underground? Carole Baskin's husband's alive in the Dominican Republic or something like that. Yeah, I saw him or something like that. Yeah. Start that. Why hasn't that trended? But you're right. You're right.
Try to TikTok. We'll do the dance.
I'll have to come up with this. I can't perfect that arching my back and popping the butt cheek thing. I can't. I've tried everything.
I'm doing it. You can't see it. I'm really good at it. You just can't see it because I'm.
I barely got the whoa thing down. So I barely got that. I got a little wave.
What's this one?
Oh, is that it? Is that the whoa? Oh no. Oh, that. I don't know that. I make fun of my stepdaughter with that every day. Every time she's walking through the kitchen and something, we're out in public, she's just a bored teenager, just like doing all this. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And it's like, you wouldn't get it, No, I wouldn't.
I don't.
You gotta watch it. There's a Facebook channel. This guy, he does that. He's always imitating his daughter, bored teenager in Walmart. Like, Dad, can we go? I'm bored. Just doing it. They don't even realize they're doing it. It's a problem. But I'm gonna admit it, Amy. You convinced me. You're probably right. I'm only basing I'm basing everything everything on nothing. Only from.
So that's all it is. We're all just bored and making shit up right now. So.
Yeah, there you go. We've all been watching. We tried to turn this documentary into an episode of Law and Order. Like,
yeah, we're too dumb for that. We're like,
exactly. It's like, I think she fed them to the tiger. It's interesting, but you know what? If the police haven't, they said they investigated it, and if there was no evidence, then, if she did feed him to a tiger, if there was no evidence then, there's definitely no evidence now. You're not gonna find a femur just sitting there. Oh my God, did I forget to throw that away? No. If either she's that good or she didn't do it, I'll have to admit it.
There it is.
No, I can't do it. All right, call me convinced. All right, you win this round. All right, okay, case. That guy probably. Yeah. All right, Carole Baskins. I'm not with you. Everything that I based it on was barely based on nothing. I don't know these people. I don't want to know these people. But the next documentary should be the fact that Shaquille O'Neal was also, friends with Joe Exotic. He was there at that.
That's right. They have the
Yeah.
footage.
What is going on with that? Yeah, Tiger King 2, Shack Attack. That's what the next. There's supposed to be a new episode, I think, of Tiger King. Did you see it?
No, I'm over it.
I am too. I saw that and I was like, I didn't like it. It was all right. It was fine. It was fun that when it happened.
It was fun to watch, but then it's too much. Too much.
It's a car wreck. I slowed down, I looked a little, and then when the traffic was clear, I'm gone. Not here. All right, guys, let us know what you guys think. Did Amy do it to you? What she did for me? Did she convince you that, all right, maybe we blew this thing out of proportion and we were just basing it only on funny memes, funny songs on TikTok, not based on any real detective work? Because we all like to believe that we have it all figured out. But come on, she might have, obviously she paid off the cops and that's how she got off that. That's my theory. That's my real theory. But let us know what you guys think about the whole Carole Baskin thing. Did you continue watching the Tiger King thing? And if they continue it for some more episodes, will you go back and watch more of it? Comment below. Let us know what you guys think. And until next time, guys, Carole Baskin.